The national conversation about race includes the U.S. military. Defense Secretary Mark Esper has effectively banned the Confederate battle flag from bases and installations, but that's only part of the issue. In a 2019 survey, more than half of people of color serving in uniform said they had personally witnessed white nationalism or racism in the military. According to the Defense Department, around 17% of U.S. troops identify themselves as black. We spoke with several former active duty service members of different races and religions about their experiences.
And as a black woman, I had to wonder, okay, is this happening because I have ovaries or is it because I have melanin?
10-year Army veteran Mary Tobin says racism in the ranks often isn't camouflaged. Attention! As a student leader at West Point, Tobin had to inspect cadets' rooms.
You come in with a white glove, and of course you check for dirt.
And she quickly found a red flag.
2 white men who were roommates. I walked in and there was a very large Confederate flag. I saw the flag. I looked at them, they looked at me, and I could tell they were trying to get a reaction out of me. That happened 2 more times. And finally, I had a discussion with them and told them about how that felt for me as a black woman from the South, coming into the room, every inspection and seeing that flag. It hurt me dearly.
Now, nearly 2 decades later, the Confederate flag is no longer allowed at West Point. But Tobin says reminders of that painful past remain.
One example is the name of a barracks named after General Lee. I lived in those barracks.
At West Point, there's Lee Barracks, there's Lee Gate, there's Lee Road, there's Robert E. Lee Housing Area. Enough.
Just before Bronze Star recipient Dana Petard graduated in 1981, he overheard 2 fellow cadets call him the N-word.
One of them ran after me and said, "Oh, Dana, I'm so sorry." I said, "What are you sorry for?" "I'm so sorry for calling you an." I was so shocked. I thought, I cannot believe that. And then I took both of them aside and said, "We are 2 months from graduation from West Point, and you still only see me as an."
Petard went on to carry the nuclear launch codes for President Clinton and command all U.S. forces in Iraq.
It makes me wonder, well, what else are they saying when you're not around or when I'm not around? And did you ever worry about that?
Not really, because my assumption is they probably did. We've got to collectively work together if we're going to end this legacy of systemic racism. And it's going to take more than black people to do that.
For the first time, African-American officers lead the Air Force and West Point. But this photo taken last fall shows the lack of diversity among the military's top ranks.
The chances of me making a full bird colonel or general become less and less likely as I look at my competition and those who are making the selection and really feel like there's no one representative of me.
Captain George Bates said he was passed over for promotion early in his 27-year Air Force career.
I knew I had more work experience, time in service, education. My Caucasian competitor had struggled with the Air Force fitness test and was still promoted. I was praised for how I handled the bad news, as if to say they thought I would be aggressive or disgruntled.
Captain Tobin faced a triggering moment when she said a white superior dressed her down with his hand on his gun.
And I said, "Sir, could you please remove your hand from the trigger well?" And he goes, "Well, why? Why are you afraid of my hand on a trigger wheel? Is it because you're from the hood? Is this what you're used to? You're used to people shooting at you?"
But others believe there has been progress over the years, like retired Marine Fatuma Saad.
And I think that race is one of the things that the military gets right more often than wrong in compared to our civilian counterparts.
Saad, a Muslim, met her husband Evan in the Marine Corps.
Openness, diversity, inclusion, those are all byproducts of serving in the military because you're bringing young adults from all over the country with their own personal experiences from their corner of the world, and you're putting them together.
And that's why they all encourage young people to serve.
Diversity makes us stronger.
Can we be a better country? Yes. But America is worth fighting for and worth serving.
We asked to talk to active duty troops. The Pentagon declined, but in a statement said it's taking a holistic look to address diversity and increase inclusivity in the ranks, adding these efforts strengthen our military readiness. And Anthony and Michelle, I just also wanted to point out that West Point graduated its first cadet in 1877. That was Henry O. Flipper. It was almost half a century later before the next graduate would leave West Point. That was a personal hero of mine, Benjamin O. Davis Jr., who, of course, would go on to lead the famed Tuskegee Airmen, earning 4 stars as a general in the United States Air Force. But throughout his whole time at West Point, he was shunned. So for 4 years while he was at West Point, no one spoke to him except in an official capacity. And I can only imagine the grit and the fortitude and the discipline that you would need to complete a program like that with no one speaking to you. In 2015, West Point did name a barracks for General Davis.
Yes. Well, still so hard to believe that they have barracks named. This is New York for General Robert.
Well, more than just a barracks, it was there's
the
like,
gate.
There's like 4 different things that bear his name at West Point.
And that being said, the military though should be credited because as a couple of those people mentioned, you know, it is fought for diversity and affirmative action on many fronts.
In many ways, it has been out front, in this country. But still
Where
has.
it all started.
Let me add something to that. The military first desegregated its ranks in 1947. Almost everyone we spoke to said that they, in some instances, have experienced things that have happened to them worse in the civilian world. The military reflects what happens in the civilian world at some levels, but oftentimes they experience things in the civilian world that they do not experience in the military.
All right, thanks, Vlad.